Should you avoid everything and just hide during eclipses? Don't worry, even though eclipses are known as a period of chaos because of the fast change that they bring, in this video I'm going to share 9 tips to avoid doing during the eclipses so that you can have a smoother, more graceful eclipse season. Eclipses tend to be known as a period of chaos because of the fast transformation that happens. During eclipses, we have the sun, electric, and the moon magnetic energies joining together. So this is an amplification of these cosmic bodies in our sky coming together. And when the sun and moon energies join together, it just amplifies. And that's why during eclipses, we feel an intensity because of this heightened amount of energy. During eclipses, the veil between the dimensions is also thinner, which means that more of this cosmic energy can flow into our planet. That is just a side effect of what happens when the sun's electromagnetic field interacts with our Earth's magnetic field and the moon's magnetic field. So basically you can think about it like a energy highway that's being created, and during this time that's why more energy can reach us on this earth. The scientific term for this is electron diffusion regions, which are basically regions in our sky that allows the unimpeded flow of electrons to flow into our planet. Hey, welcome if you're new here. My name is IamSolTara. I'm a medium, and for the past 13 years I've been traveling around the world learning different energy modalities. This journey took me to over 30 countries, and the tips that I'm going to share with you are based on the similarities across the different spiritual traditions, because different cultural cosmologies, they view eclipses as powerful gateways, and other cosmologies see eclipses as a cautionary period. So the tips are going to be based on all of the different cultures. The number one thing is avoid engaging in road rage. During eclipses, we have this heightened amount of energy as the sun and moon energies come together. So because of this amplification of energy, people tend to get more irritated, more frustrated, more anxious, more angry, because that's a lot of energy coming in and they don't know how to process it. So because of this, people are going to be extra angry or unbalanced. So just be extra mindful when you're driving. Also when you're walking, be mindful of little accidents, tripping or spraining your ankle and things like this, because there's so much energy in our skies coming together with the sun and the moon. That energy needs to be channeled out somewhere else. During eclipse seasons, you'll tend to notice that things around your house may break in a more frequent way than typically. For example, glass breaking or plates breaking, because that's a lot of energy that needs to get channeled, and sometimes that's how it manifests. So just be mindful during this time of any accidents, whether you're driving or you're walking. Number 2, do not react. Eclipses bring up our shadows. Just like the moon is covering the sun and it creates a shadow, that external representation happens internally. So our shadows, our fears, our insecurities are rising up to the surface, which means that people are going to experience more emotional volatility during this time. Everyone manages their emotions in different ways. During eclipses, you'll notice that your co-workers, your family, or your friends, they will be more easily triggered during this time. That means that you need to avoid reacting to their triggers to avoid escalating that conflict. If you need help to master your emotions and practice better discernment as to what emotions you need to let go of and what emotions you need to sit with and process, I invite you to join us for our alchemy workshop. In this alchemy workshop, you'll learn how to master your emotions and you'll learn how to transform your emotions. Just like the ancient Egyptians used alchemy to transform rocks into gold, we practice inner alchemy, where you transform your rocks, your inner blocks, into gold. If you want to join that workshop, you can get more information in the description of this video. Number 3, if possible, avoid scheduling a serious surgery or medical procedure 3 days before, on the day of the eclipse, and 3 days after the eclipse. During this 7-day window, it's when that eclipse energy, it's at its peak. So because this is a lot of energy coming together, you want to avoid having any serious medical procedure done, because that's a lot of intense energy, and sometimes that can lead to malfunction in equipment, or like I mentioned in the last tip, that people's emotions are just going to be all over the place. Eclipses also tend to affect our sleeping patterns. You'll either have insomnia, or you'll have you'll notice yourself waking up in the middle of the night, and you don't want your doctors, your nurses to be not having good sleep when you're there doing the surgery. So if possible, avoid this. Number 4, do not ignore your emotions. Eclipses are a period of purging. That's why the shadows are rising up to the surface. Within the external world, you'll notice a lot of corruptions, a lot of conflicts happening in your office, in your family life, in politics, and society at large, but also in your personal life, in your inner world. Your insecurities, your fears, your judgments, all of that will rise to the surface so that you can purge that out. So don't run for your emotions. Instead, allow them to flow. Because the more that you run from these intense emotions that rise up during eclipses, the more intense that they will become. So you allowing your emotions to flow will help you to avoid the intensity that can come. So this video actually came out of an email that I sent out to my email newsletter. If you want to get a weekly energy and cosmic update with alchemy tips, you can sign up for that free newsletter in the description of this video. This is a question I received from someone about this list. So number 2 says, don't react to others who are displaying intense emotions. But in number 4, you say not to ignore your emotions. Often our emotions are in direct correlation to others. So we don't react to that situation. We aren't letting our own instincts or our emotions flow. So this is a great question. And one of the things that's so important for you to be mindful of is, like, you cannot allow your emotions to master you. You cannot allow your emotions to dominate you. You have to become a master of your emotions. So that is the difference here. In number 2, we are not reacting to their triggers to avoid the escalation, but rather in number 4, we can witness their triggers and we can allow our anger to flow through us, but we don't necessarily need to express that anger. So there's a difference between reacting based on your emotions and just allowing your emotions to flow. And that is one of the most important things that we have to do on this reincarnation, because when we reincarnated into this 3rd dimensional form with a human ego, with a human mind that is an animal mind. And this animal mind is just focused on survival. But guess what? You have your higher mind, the higher mind of your higher self, of your soul. And you have to bring in this divine aspect within your animal human aspect, both of which are perfect, and we need to learn how to create harmony between these two. If you want more support with learning how to create more balance, how to create more peace, more joy within your 3D material human experience and your spiritual etheric experience, I invite you to check out our alchemy workshop, because that's where we dive deep into the 3 alchemy tenets that empower you to align with your highest potential and timeline. And you can get more information about that workshop in the description of this video. Number 5, do not get sucked up into the chaos. The purging process that happens of the shadows rising to the surface, we're going to see that happen in our external world, especially during the eclipses of 2024 and 2025, because those coincide with the peak of a solar cycle. This purging process that we'll notice happening in our society, it has to happen because humanity has to become aware of its imbalances, the unfortunate ways that we're treating each other, and the unfortunate ways that we're treating the earth. So all of those shadows are going to rise up to the surface, and it can definitely feel chaotic and look chaotic, but remember, you have to bring that focus internally, because if you're getting sucked up into the chaos, into the purging process, into the storm, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to create more internal alignment, internal peace, internal clarity. And the more that you can create that for yourself, the more that you'll be able to radiate that clarity and peace externally. So this is actually the way to support humanity. And this is not about being passive. During eclipse season, it's very easy to get sucked into all the distractions happening because we're going to see so much purging. So just remember to bring the focus internally. Number 6, don't dilute your discernment. Discernment is extremely important, especially during eclipses, because that's when you see the shadows rising up to the surface. That's also when other energies from other realms come into this 3D plane in a more easier way, both helpful energies that are here to support you and also other energies here that maybe just want to distract you on your journey. So don't dilute your discernment, and one way to do that is to avoid drinking alcohol, avoid drugs during this period. That also includes plant medicine, that also includes marijuana, because all of these plant medicines, they're wonderful guides, they're wonderful beings, they have their own energy, their own consciousness. These plants also open our energy fields up, so they enhance our senses. If you do not know how to do it safely, how to avoid opening up other karmic loops, time loops when you engage with plant medicine, then this is definitely not a time when you want to be messing with all of the different timelines, because eclipses also are a time of quantum shifts, which means that our actions, our choices, our emotions, everything that we're doing ripples through space and time, and that's because the veil between the dimensions is thinner. So our reactions also impact across our different existences, if you want to think about it sort of like a parallel life. Number 7, do not let yourself get dehydrated. Drink 3 times more water than you normally do during eclipse seasons. That's because during eclipses, we're purging, we're cleansing. Sometimes that purge happens consciously, and sometimes it happens unconsciously because our soul, our higher self, is doing that cleansing, that soul healing, that soul clearing for us while we're sleeping. So when you're clearing, you are working out your energy body just like you were to go to the gym. You need to drink more water. It's the same concept. Also, because the veil between the dimensions is thinner, we receive more light during that time, and we receive more activations, specifically when an eclipse happens during solstice or an equinox. So you can mark these dates down. March 20th and 21st, that's generally when the spring equinox happens, and June 20th, 21st, that's the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. Then September 21st or 22nd, that's an equinox, and March 20th, 21st, or 22nd, that is a solstice. Every year, the specific date of the equinox and solstice can change, so just check when that's going to be happening for you. Number 8, don't forget to breathe deeply. Doing deep belly breaths can be the changing point between you popping off on a loved one and you calming your anger and your trigger down. Breathing from your belly literally changes the chemicals and the thoughts that are happening in your brain, because everything is a chemical reaction in our body. So I'm going to invite you right now to just close your eyes for a second. Take a deep belly breath in for 5 counts. Hold. Then gently exhale out through your nose for 5 counts. Take a deep belly breath in. Hold. And sigh out through your mouth. So you can do this 5-5-5 breathing. Breathing in for 5 counts, hold it for 5 counts, and exhale out for 5 counts. During eclipses, exhale out through your mouth when you're doing this deep belly breathing, because then you're going to exhale out all of that excess energy that has been accumulating within your field. Doing this type of breathing can also prevent your anxiety from escalating, because anxiety does tend to increase during eclipses because of the fast changes that we move through. This type of breathing, not exhaling out through your mouth, but rather exhaling out through your nose, if you do that at night, it can also improve your sleep, because during eclipses, our sleep patterns tend to get disturbed. So for example, if you don't typically deal with insomnia and you sleep through the night, it can start to cause insomnia, or it can start to cause you to wake up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. So doing these types of breathing will help you to avoid the changes and disruptions to your sleeping patterns from eclipses. And the last tip, this one will help you manifest much faster, because eclipses actually are a very powerful gateway for manifesting for two main reasons. Because the veil between the dimensions is thinner during this time, so our manifestations can get sent up very quickly and come back very quickly because that energy highway is open. Also, because eclipses are a period of purging, we have the opportunity to clear our blocks that are preventing us from receiving our manifestations. So because eclipses tend to come in pairs, we have a lunar eclipse during a full moon, a solar eclipse during a new moon. Full moons, lunar eclipses are time of releasing, then you'll notice you'll receive your manifestations during the solar eclipse. This is tip number 9. Don't focus on what you do not want. During eclipses, manifestation happens instantly because our thoughts are instantly sent out. So if you keep focusing on, I don't want this relationship, I don't want this job, I don't want this issue showing up, the more that you're intensifying and sending energy towards it, the more that you're creating momentum around that manifestation, even if you're doing it unconsciously. So focus on what you actually want. This doesn't mean that you should avoid your emotions or avoid looking at the karmic endings, the karmic cycles that are rising up right now, because eclipses are a type of karmic clearing and cleansing. So they help us to transcend karmic cycles that we've been stuck in across lifetimes. So what this means is sit with those periods intentionally. Don't run away from them, but then don't over fixate on them. Is there any other tip that you would add to this list? Let me know in the comments. Also, let me know in the comments which tip resonated the most with you. I'm wishing you an empowering eclipse season. And remember, eclipses are a time to rise like the phoenix. And I think you'll enjoy watching this video next. Much love. Thank you for being here.